So who will do the testing? Okay. Okay. Who will do the white box testing? Okay. The testing is based on knowledge of internal logic of application code, is also known as glass box testing. Means who knows the coding, there only can do the white box testing. Simply saying that the testing is based on knowledge of internal logic of application code. Who knows the internal logic of application code, then only there only can do the white box testing. Means we can easily say that generally, you know, right, who knows the internal logic of application code? Developers. So we can say that white box testing is done by developers. Okay, is it clear? Because white box testing is done by developers. Simply saying that the testing is based on knowledge of internal logic of application code. Who knows the internal logic, then only we can do the white box testing. See here, internal software and code working should be known for this type of testing. Suppose if you want to do the white box testing, means you need to know internal software and code. You need to know the code, and means how you are writing the code in each and everything, logic and each and everything you need to know. Then only you can do the white box testing. Otherwise you cannot do the white box testing. The tests are based on coverages of code statement, branches, path and condition. They always check like what are the code statements, if else, or and branches, like they will take it as a branches. Okay, don't worry, we never involve in this area. And path and conditions. Okay, and this testing is also called as what? Unit testing. This is very, very important. Unit testing or a component testing. Unit testing or a component testing belongs to what? White box testing.
Okay.
Yes, white box testing. Developer. Now tell me, why developer need to do the testing? We already there, right? We testers is already there, right? Then why developer need to do the testing again?
From his side, he need to be clear like whether the code is working or not. Like if there is any other errors throwing in the code, or like if there is any impact on the any other requirement or any other modules. So he just want
Yes.
to make sure before that, before coming
Yes,
to the
absolutely.
testing.
Yes, absolutely correct. 100% they need to do a unit testing, because at any senior person or any person, once they written the code, right, they need to at least one time they need to check my code is working properly or not before it's sending to the QA. Because if my if my war confidence might be I miss some semicolon or some syntax errors, I'm not checking the code. I'm simply, once my done my code, I'm simply sending to the QA team. The QA team is finding the same issues twice and twice, same issues they're finding this twice and twice. Then it is what, there is a lot of time waste, right? So developer, at least they need to check what, one time before they send to the code to the testing team. That is what unit testing. That is what unit testing. Unit testing is mandatory for, mandatory means what? Compulsory for the development team. Okay, whatever they're returning the code, what are the returning the logic, they need to check at least one time before they're sending to the QA team, before they're sending to the build or anything. At least they need to check whether my code is working properly or not. Okay, so that is the reason unit testing is very, very important from the developer prospect. Okay, why we can call it as a white box? Because we are able to see all the code, right? See, I'm able to see the methods, I'm able to see the classes and all the things. The developer can able to see all the code. That's the reason we can call it as what? This is a white box testing. Developer can able to see the code. So that's the reason we can call it as a white box. There are many names will be there: white box, glass box, transparent box, open box. Open box means I'm able to see the code. Transparent box means I'm able to see the code. Clear box means I'm able to see the code. So these all are belongings to what? Structural testing. Might be freshers, they will ask you what type of testings we have. Might be they will ask you this question. So you can say that there are two types of testing. One is structural testing. The structural testing is done by developers because they knows the internal logic of the code. They need to check at least one time before they send to the QA team, whether they need to check whether the code is working properly or not. Okay, so this is very, very important. Or we can say that component testing. Generally we use the terminology like unit testing. Generally every time we use the terminology unit testing only. Okay, unit testing, component testing belongs to the white box testing. See, white box testing is also known as clear box. Clear box means what? You are able to see the code. Open box means you are able to see the code. Glass box, you are able to see the code. Transparent box, you are able to see the code. So there are many names. So sometimes in interview, what is clear box? Can you explain the clear box? Can you explain the open box? Can you explain the glass box? But don't confuse all the belongings to white box testing. Okay. So the code based on testing or a structural testing in a software testing, the methods in which, see, if you want to do a white box testing, you need to know what internal structure you need to know, design you need to know, implementation you need to know. Then only you can do the white box testing. You need to know internal structure, what the structure is, what is the design and implementation, that logic, each and everything you need to know. Then only you can do the white box testing. Okay. The white box testing is design techniques. There also follow some techniques how my code is working properly or not. There also they follow some techniques like control flow testing, data flow testing, branch testing, path testing, statement coverages, and decision coverages. Okay, means don't worry, we never involve in this area. Once the developer is done his code, then they follow some techniques. Okay, control flow testing, they will test whether it is data is getting correctly or not, and data flow testing and branches testing and path testing and statement coverages and decision coverages, they will take care of all the things. Okay, we never involve in this area. Okay,
So
now
as a tester, we are going to write the unit test cases, or else developer.
developer is only write the unit level test cases. We are never involved. Same, it depends upon the organization. Your organization, you say that you prove yourself, like I know the coding area, I know coding knowledge. If you prove yourself, might be they will assign. Until unless they will only write, the developers only write the unit level test.
So the same case in the automation too.
Yes, automation also we need to, once we implemented the code, right? Suppose you are implementing one code like script, you are writing some script. Before you launch to, and before you are sending to push the code in GitHub or Jenkins, before at least you need to run at least one time from your end. Because you cannot, sorry?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so once you write the script, right, at least you need to check from your end at least one time. You cannot say like you once you're returning all the code, once you're done with all the code without checking, you are sending to the team. Means if the team, whenever they're working, they are getting too much issues, means then it's a problem, right? So at least you are, from our end also, we need to check once the automation script is done. You need to check line to line, line to line, line to line. Once you are implementing a new code, you need to write the script again. Once you need to run the script one more time, one more time, one more time. Like that, you need to run the things. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't worry. They will tell you what the process. See, that we will learn in the once the project will come. So process is very, very important. Some organization, seriously, I'm telling, the some organization, they won't allow to see your code. See, we never see the code. Suppose the Facebook, they assign to test the Facebook, means we will test the Facebook. We will test any application because we never see the code. Coding access is not at all given to the testers, because again, if coding access is given to the testers, means again the organization need to buy a license. Suppose your application is working on ASP.NET, again you need to purchase the ASP.NET license for the testers also. Once you need to deploy that code in your local, again you need to access. They won't give, mostly most of the organization, they won't access to you as a coding part. Okay, until unless you prove like I know the coding knowledge and all the things, then only you can do, they will give you. Because what we can do, we know we never write the code, right? So if they're providing the code also, we never write the code. They won't give the coding access and all the things. They will give you only QA environments. We have a different environments will be there. QA environment, production environment, dev environment will be there. They will give you a QA environment. So always we get a build. In the build, they will provide the URL. And based on that URL, we need to access. We need to check whether the application is working as per the requirements or not. That's it. We never see the code also. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, fine. Fine, don't worry. If you some organizations, suppose you are in most interested in writing the unit test cases and all the things, means they will provide you, but you need to prove yourself. They will give you 1 or 2 tasks. If you done 1 or 2 tasks within good means, they will give you. Okay, it depends, purely depends upon the organization. But generally, we never write any unit level test cases and all the things. Okay. So this is very, very important. Black box testing. Who will do the black box testing? QA testers. See, internal system design is not considered in this type of testing. That's the reason we can test any application, because we are least bothered about internal structure design. If you give the Facebook, I am ready to test the application. If you give the any Google application, I'm ready to test the application. If you give IoT applications, I'm ready to go for a testing, because I am never see any code. Because that's the reason we can call it as what? Black box testing. White box, why we can call it as? Because we are able to see the code, and if you know the internal logic, then only you can do the white box testing. So we can know, right? Developers knows the code. That's the reason the white box testing is done by the developers. Black box testing, who will do the black box testing? Means we can say the testers, QA. Internal system design is not considered in this type of testing. You not required any coding knowledge and all the things. Okay, then how you will test these applications? How you will test this any application? See, we always based on the tester, or based on the requirements. See, this is what is very powerful, requirements. I always depend on where requirements and functionality. I never depend upon the code. I never see if the code is working properly or not. I'm always depend upon the means QA. QA is always depends upon what? In the requirements and functionalities. Because we always depends upon the requirements. See, the testing definition we told you, right, whether it is working as per the requirements or not. And also you need to check the functionality, and you need to check the functionality also, whether it is working as per the functionality also not, we need to check. Other than unit testing, the remaining testing types belonging to the black box testing. So this is very, very important. Black box testing is nothing but we can say that the black box testing is done by the QA testers. Testers will do. Internal system design is not considered in this type of testing. The test, how we will test means simply you will get a question. How we will test means we always based on requirements and functionality. Is it clear? Because we are always depends upon what? Requirement. Suddenly they will ask you test this application, means yes, I'm ready to test that application. Can you please provide the requirements for that? So they will provide the requirements. Slowly you need to understanding the functionality, and you need to check the functionality also. Is it clear?
Yeah. Okay. So then the requirement and the acceptance criteria both are different, right?
Yes. Acceptance criteria means the developer will be provide what you need to test. Points. They will be provide some acceptance criteria, what you need to test. Understanding, right? So yeah. They will give you a acceptance criteria. Then I can say like see, are you able to see my screen? Right here, suppose this is a one task. There is a one task acceptance criteria. So here developer will mention some steps like what you need to test. Acceptance criteria they will be provided. So always you need to follow the acceptance criteria. Sometimes if developer is not providing acceptance criteria, you need to ask in the call itself. Okay, can you please provide the acceptance criteria for this item? So developer will be provided his points.
Acceptance criteria is provided by the developer. So I mean, yes, like we can ask the product owner too, right? Or else.
Yeah, you can ask, but if you cannot ask directly to the product owner. If this task is done by someone, right? Suppose this task is done by myself. I'm not providing my inputs, right? I'm not providing anything what I changed in the area and all the things. Suppose you got a doubt what I need to test in this one. So if you ask me like, can you please provide the acceptance criteria, means I can provide my views, like you can test this area is very important because I changed the code that particular area. Suppose I'm giving my points like what we need to test. So the tester is always going with the acceptance criteria. They will always follow that points to cover whether I'm covering all the points or not.
Okay.
The both are same, like sometimes the requirements and all the same, both are but generally we will call it as acceptance criteria itself, because the developer knows that where he is changing the code, and he knows that where it is impacting all the time. See, that's the reason it's a very good question. Like suddenly they will ask you to test this one, you cannot say yes. Before saying yes, you need to check what are the acceptance criteria and all the things, because the acceptance criteria they're mentioned like test the entire whole application. You cannot test whole entire application within 1 hour, within 2 hours. It's not possible, right? Or it is not possible within 1 day or 2 days also. You need to test entire the application. So in that case you need to ask what is the scope of the testing. Suppose some developer is continuously changing, what is the scope of the testing? So whether we need to test in detail or high level, or we need to test entire the application, you need to write the question in the call, because you cannot say every time yes I can do, and you cannot say like that. You need to check the criteria, what is the acceptance criteria, is it possible or not. You need to check what is the, and you can ask them what is the scope of the testing, what is the scope. If I'm going to test like this, how many days it will be completed. So you need to ask all these questions in the call. That's the reason I'm asking, right? The communication is very important. The communicate, if you have a good communication, uh, 60 to 70% is testing is completed, not required to learn all the things like what is testing. No one will ask these questions in the interview. They will check your process, like what process you are following, agile methodology, and this is very important. This area you need to concentrate. Okay, what are the issues you are having, you need to report and you need to speak in the call. Okay, otherwise you need to write at least a mail. Okay, okay, that's fine. So there are testing types. This is very basic important question. What are the testing types? There are two types. One is structural testing. Structural testing is always done by the developers, and is also we can call it as what white box testing, and we can also call it as what open box, clear box, transparent box. If you want to do a white box testing, means you need to know the internal logic of the code, then only we can do the white box testing. And coming to the functional testing, the functional testing is also called as a black box testing, and black box testing is always done by QA, and internal structure design is not considered in this type of testing. Simply we can always depends on requirements and functionality. Okay, is it clear? Do not by heart, because you can easily learn. Like structural, developer will be do that. What is the functional testing, QA can do. So in case in interview they will ask you, can you do white box testing? Means yes I can do, if I know the internal logic of the code. Okay, so if I know the internal logic of the code, then we can also do the white box testing, but generally we never do the white box testing. Okay, white box testing is always done by the developers. Okay, here we are also follow some techniques like black box testing techniques. Okay, equivalency partition, boundary value analysis, cause effect graphing. Like we also follow some techniques. What is the boundary value analysis? We will discuss later all these things, but now I will explain you what is the boundary value analysis, BVA. What is BVA? Boundary value analysis. Okay, what is boundary value analysis? Okay, suppose your requirement is what? Your requirement is what? You need to test 9 to 90,000 numbers. Okay, you need to check all the numbers is working properly or not. Suppose think that you have a text box. You have a text box. You need to test whether all 9 to 90,000 numbers is accepting or not. You need to check. So in this case, how you will test? Any idea? Do you understand my question? There is a one text box will be there. You need to test all the numbers, like 9 to 90,000 numbers is accepting or not. You need to test. So how you will test this one? what way, when what process you will test? Any idea? Okay. So we need to test what, 9 to 90,000 numbers we need to test. Okay. So always take the minimum value. What is the minimum value? Minimum value is what, 9. And what is the maximum value? 90,000. Okay. What is the maximum value is what? 90,000. Okay. There is a simple logic like -1. Always you need to do minimum value -1 and maximum value is always +1. Okay. You do the +1 here. Okay. So what will happen here? Okay, now you are entering 9 minus 1. Okay, 8. Okay, if you are entering the 8, if it is not allowing means what, your logic, your code is working properly on. Okay, okay, it is working as expected. Okay, because 8 is not allowing. So no, you no need to test like 7, 6 and 5 and 4 and 3, 2, 1. It is not required because it is not allowing the 8. Okay. And range, what is the range in between 9 to 90,000? You just enter the 9. Okay, it is allowing or valid or invalid. Yes, it is valid only. 9,000. Yes, in between values it is valid, or any value you can take. Okay. And maximum value +1. What is the maximum value plus? Okay, again you can take 90,000 also. 90,000. Yes, it is valid. And you can take what, 90,000 +1. Okay. Then you need to check if it is allowing 90,000 +1 means then it's a bug. Okay. So you need to check like this boundary value analysis. Okay. Minimum value and maximum value. Okay. Less than 1 or greater than 1. Okay. So generally we need to test like years like 90. Suppose you need to test in the real time 90 to 20. 20, like you need to test all the in between all the things, so you cannot enter each and everything. Simply you can do one thing, -1 here +1. Okay. So minimum value -1 and maximum value plus, and range is what, in between on 1990 to 2020, in between the values you need to do. So this is what boundary value analysis. Okay. Whenever the values will come, like so many values will come, you cannot test like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You cannot test like that. Freshers, they won't get an idea. So always they will do what, 9, 10, they will go with each and every number. So you cannot go up to 9 to 90,000 means it is taking a too much time, and it is what time is also wasted. Simply you can use the BVA. Okay, what is called BVA? Boundary value analysis. Okay, simply you can take the boundary values like 9 is the minimum value and 90,000 is the maximum value, and the range is what, 9 to 90,000, and minimum value -1 and maximum value +1. So minimum value, the minimum value -1 means if 9 -1, if 8 is allowing, suppose think that 8 is allowing, then it is a bug. No need to ask anybody, no need to discuss also. You can easily say that it is a bug because 8 is allowing, 8 should not allow, but it is 8 is allowing. So then it's, we can say that it's a bug. And the similar way, 90,000, you need to check up to 90,000 in range. You need to check in between, take any value, it should work. And more than 90,000 also you need to check. If more than 90,000 it is taking means what? It's a bug. Okay, no need to ask this thing. Is it clear? This is very important, like boundary value analysis, BVA. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But no freshers, these all are freshers questions. Okay. What is boundary value analysis? And see, what is the difference between the black box testing and white box testing? See, here the white box testing, completely a developer point of view. The white box testing is always think his logic, my logic is working properly or not, my coding is working properly or not. He need to check always his logic, and he knows this is input and he knows his output. Okay, because he writes he write his logic, right? So he knows that. Coming to the QA, we don't know what is written by the developer. Okay, we got always the question mark, always we get a question mark. Suppose you are giving some input and you will get some output, whether this output is correct or not, how you will can say that this output is correct or not? We always depends on what requirements. Based on the requirement, I can consider whether this is right or not. I cannot say 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Everyone is say that 1 plus 1 equals to 2 only, but I will get a doubt like whether this is correct or not, 1 plus 1 equals to 2 or not. Even 1 plus 1 equals to 2, even I know that is the true, but I need to cross check with the requirement, because in the requirement minus will be there, but by mistakenly developer implemented by addition, so this 1 plus 1 equals to 2 is wrong. Based on my requirement, in the requirement minus will be there, but developer is implemented as a plus. So always you need to depend on requirements is very, very important, powerful. That is what you cannot take your own decision, you cannot take your own ideas. You always cross check with the requirements whether this output is what correct or not. 1 plus 1 equals to 2 or not, you need to check whether this is plus operation or minus operation or any other operation was is declared in the requirements or not, you need to check. Okay, you cannot take your own decisions. Okay, is it clear? So this is very, very important. What is the difference between the white box testing and black box testing? Okay, and one more thing. See, many of people are asking programming knowledge is required. No, for your suppose if you want to go for a manual testing, programming knowledge is not required. Programming knowledge is not required. If you go for a manual testing means what? Programming knowledge not at all required. And implementation knowledge is also not required. Okay, black box testing means what? Testers always do the testers. Okay, and what we can say, how we will how we write the test cases means we always based on the requirement specifications. Okay, we always write the test cases based on the requirement specifications. Okay, we need not require any programming knowledge, we need not require any implementation knowledge. Suppose you want to go for a developer side, programming knowledge is required and implementation knowledge is what required. And how they will write the code means they will always go for the design detailed designs. Okay, and how the developer write the code, we need to provide some screens and all the things like design formats. Based on that, developer is start writing the coding. How we will test means we always based on the requirement specifications. This is very, very important, how you write the test cases based on the requirement specification. What are the requirements they provide? Based on the requirement, we need to write the test cases. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? So this is very, very important. What are the types of testing? There are two types: structural testing and functional testing. Who will do the functional testing? Anybody? Who will do the functional testing? Functional
QA.
testing is done by
QA.
yeah. Functional testing is done by QA. Okay. Structural testing is done by the developers.
Developer.
Yeah. Just your two things you keep on mind. That's it. Now this is very, very important. 100% interview question. Who are going for a fresher level? What is SDLC? What is SDLC? Software Development Life Cycle. Okay. This is very important. In SDLC is the process followed for a software projects within the software organization. Every organization they follow SDLC process. What is SDLC? What is the meaning of SDLC? SDLC is nothing but a software development life cycle. Okay. Can you mute? Okay. Okay. What is SDLC means? Okay, so SDLC is the process followed for the software projects within the software organization. What is it consists of detailed plan describing how to develop. Suppose one project will come to the organization, so they need to check how to develop and how to maintain and how to replace and how to alternate some changes will happen, what we need to do. Enhancements, this is very important. Enhance the specific software. Enhancements means what? New changes. Okay, so they need to take care of all the things in where? In SDLC. Okay, SDLC is nothing but what? Software development life cycle. It consists of detailed plan and describing how to develop. So if I once I got a project, how I need to develop and maintain, how I need to maintain. If any requirements come, how I need to replace, okay, alter. If it is not working, then what is that? We cannot stop the project, right? If I'm going one process, the process is not acceptable, then I cannot stop my project. I need to check any alternate way. And enhancements is very important. And new features, okay, new features is very important. We need to check new features. Okay, this life cycle defines the methodology of improving the quality of the software and overall the development process. Suppose if you follow the SDLC, so if you follow the SDLC, means the life cycle defines the methodology for improving the quality of the software. If you follow the SDLC, means definitely you will get what? Quality of the software we will get, because we are following what? SDLC process. Understanding, right? So the life cycle defines the methodology to improving the quality of software and overall development process. See, what are the SDLC phases? In interview, they will ask you SDLC phases. What are the SDLC phases? Means what? Requirement capturing. First of all, if any project will come, if suppose one project will come, what we will need to do? We cannot start immediately coding. We need to do what? First of all, we need to gather the requirements. Requirement capturing. First of all, you need to get the requirement. Based on the requirements, we need to go for analysis whether we can do or not. Risk analysis will be there. Risk analysis will be there, because suppose we got a project. Okay, we got a project. Okay, but resource is not there. That is also one kind of risk. Risk will be there for every project. The risk will be there. Without risk, there is no project. Okay, for every project the risk will be there. Okay, we need to check analysis whether we can do or not. First of all, we got a one project. Based on the project, we need to gather the requirements. Once we get the requirements, then we will go for analysis. Analysis means what? Whether we can do or not. Then once the analysis is done, then we will go for a design. Once the design format is done, once the design is done, again the designs are what? Two types. Okay? Low level designs and high level design. Okay, low level design means what? Can anyone can easily understand by seeing of the diagram. High level diagram means what? Who having the domain knowledge, who having some domain knowledge, that they can only easily understand that diagrammic part. Okay, again once the design is done, then only I can start writing the coding. Coding means what? Developer will start writing the coding. Once the coding is done, then it will comes to the testing. Once the testing is done, then it will go for a implementation. Once the implementation is done, then only we will go for a support and maintenance. See, this is the cycle. Without coding, we cannot do the testing. Without testing, we cannot go for implementation. Without implementation, we cannot go for a support and maintenance. So this is very important. SDLC 100% interview question, or campus interview question, or fresher 100% question for who are going for a fresher level. Okay, SDLC is nothing but what? Software development life cycle. What are the phases? Means requirement capturing, analysis, designing, coding, testing, implementation, and support and maintenance. Okay, so this is an order. Without coding, we cannot go for a testing. Without testing, we cannot go for a maintenance. Without design, we cannot start the coding. Without analysis, we cannot go for a design. So this is the order. Okay, in the particular order we need to go. Okay, is it clear? Can you mute Prasad? Hello. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is very important because SDLC, software development life cycle, means what? Requirement capturing, analysis. You cannot tell like coding, testing. It's an order, like it's a particular order. Okay, it's a cycle. So you need to tell them requirement capturing, analysis, designing, coding, testing, and implementation, and support and maintenance. Okay, this order we need to follow. Requirement capturing, once we get the requirement, then we will go for an approval. We cannot take our own requirements. Okay, once you get all the requirements, and we will go for an approval. Once we can get a review and approval will come, then we will go for analysis. Okay, whether we can do or not, whether the resources is available or not, whether the tools is available or not. We need to check each and everything. Analysis, once the analysis is done, then we will go for a design part. And once the design is done, again, designs are two types. I told you, right? Low level and high level. Low level diagram can easily understand for everyone, but high level means the people who have domain knowledge there who can only understand the high level designs. Okay, once the design part is done, then the developer is involved. Might be in interview, they will ask you in SDLC in which phase you are involved. So you need to tell that testing phase. Okay, in the testing part I will involve, like you can tell that all the things like requirement capturing, analysis, designing, coding, testing, and implementation, and support and maintenance. Okay, without coding we cannot do the testing. Without testing we cannot implementation. Without implementation we cannot go for a support and maintenance. So this is very important. Is it clear? SDLC.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can tell in interview like planning. These are the terminologies is different, but the same concept. Okay, terminology is planning, defining, designing, building, testing, and deployment. What are the SDLC phases? Like it might be they will ask in interview questions. What are the SDLC phases? Means we can say that planning means requirement capturing, defining means analysis. Okay, designing means designs. Okay, building is nothing but coding. Okay, once the coding is done, then we'll go for a testing. Once the testing is done, then we'll go for a deployment. Then we'll go for a deployment. Once the deployment is done, and we will go for a support and maintenance. We will go for a support and maintenance. So this is very important, SDLC, and what the learn today is very important. Who will do the white box testing and who will do the black box testing, and SDLC. These all are very important. Okay. Now we have, okay, what's the time now? Because it will take 1 hour of time. Now tomorrow we'll see how the project will comes to the organization. This is very important. How project will comes to the organization. What are the requirement documents we have? We have some requirement documents. BRS means what? Business requirement specification. SRS document will have, what is SRS? Software requirement specification. And one more document we have, FRS. FRS is nothing but what? Functional requirement specification. Okay, what is BRS? This is very important. Business requirement specification. What are the information we are taking from the client? Suppose the client is there, right? The client is says some, I want my application should be like this. All the information is taken by the business analyst. Business analyst will take all the information. What are the expectations from the client? All the information will be taken by the business analyst. The business analyst is maintaining the one document. That document is nothing but BRS. What is that? BRS, business requirement specification. It is what? High level document. It is a high level means they will written like generally normally how we are talking and how we are writing the things, right? They simply write in the normal format way. They don't have their any standard formats. Okay, that we will convert it into SRS. SRS means what? Software requirement specification. The person who has a domain expert or a functional expert, like the we can say the product owner and all the things, that person have a domain expert or functional expert or a domain expert. That person will convert it into the BRS. What are the information is taken from the client? That information is converted into SRS. SRS is nothing but a software requirement specification. Okay, one SRS. Once we done the SRS, then we can divide it into two parts. Like one is development part and one is what testing part. Here, what developer will do and here what tester will do, we will see on tomorrow. Okay, means one how the project will comes to the organization. What are the requirement documents we is required? BRS and SRS and FRS. What is FRS? Functional requirement specification. So these all are we'll see on tomorrow. Is there anything else to discuss today? Any questions so far? So this today's is what testing types and SDLC. Testing types, two types like structural testing and functional testing. Always don't know by heart, guys. Please, if you by heart means you will be forget. Simply one line answers, all are one line answers only. Black box testing, you know, right? Black box testing is done by the QA because we have never involved any coding part and all the things. Testing is always based on where requirements and functionality. That point you remember, that is enough. And white box testing is always done by developers because they know the internal logic of the code, then only they will can do the white box testing. So white box testing is always done by developers. Simply you need to remember that point. Unit testing is done by, might be unit testing is done by the developers. Component testing is done by the developers. Clear box testing is done by the developers. So you have clear box, open box, transparent box. So all these all done by what? Developers. Okay, might be interview, might be they will ask you this question, why developer need to test the code? So you need to tell them they at least they need to check whether the code or logic is working properly or not before the sending to the QA team. That is very important, because if they are not checked, that what I told you, right? Productivity is very important. Every organization, they will check the productivities. So every time you are not able to check the code what you are returning and you are sending to the QA team, and QA is finding the same bug. So QA is already mentioned that I'm getting that issue, still I'm getting the issue. If they are sending like that, means you are not checking your code properly. Okay, so you need to, before sending to the code to the QA team, developer need to test at least one time whether my code is working properly or not. If the code is not properly working, means you need to put the status is what, in progress only, so everyone knows that it is working. But you are not test anything and simply you are sending to the QA team, means the QA people will not accept that one. The developer always need to do what? Unit level testing. They need to check whether my code is working properly or not. Okay, and testing side, we always based on the requirements and functionality. If they are not providing any requirements, you need to ask them, can you please provide the requirements? Okay, you can ask. If you are not asking and you are wasting 2 days of time, 3 days of the time, at the end of the day you are saying that I'm not having any requirements, means they are fire on you, because you need to ask initial state only. The first day itself you need to ask, can you please provide the requirements, or can you please provide the acceptance criteria for this item? And you are wasting of 2 days of the time and 3 days of the time, and finally last day you are telling that sorry, I do not have any requirements, I don't have any acceptance criteria, means the team will not accept you, because you need to ask initial, the day one you need to ask that question. Okay, at the end of the, see, in the real time what they will ask, no one will follow you, no one will micromanagement, like no one will follow you, no one will ask you what you are doing, what is the status. No one will ask you. They will give a sufficient time for you. Suppose you are say that my task will be completed within 2 days, means in the 2 days no one will ask you anything. After 2 days only they will ask you what is about this task status. You need to have an answer for that one. So you cannot escape from that one. You are telling some stories and all the thing. One day you can escape, but next day you cannot escape, because we are following the agile methodology. Every day we have a stand-up call will be there. Every day you need to tell your status, what I done yesterday, what I'm done today, and what I'm doing tomorrow. You need to tell your status. Okay, so don't worry, if you're finding the bugs, means you can report them. Okay, is there anything else?
Yeah, hi, I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
And will you gonna explain the agile methodology also? Or?
Yes, we will explain. That is very important. The completely agile methodology we need to explain, because that is only important part. If I tell agile directly, means the people will not accept that. The reason we are telling all the basics to the things, like this is what completely agile framework, like how project will comes, how we will go for estimation, what is the sprint, how we will go for a release. That is very important. Release is very important. Suppose you are going for a 3 years of experience, like a fake experience, not a problem. Then they will ask you when you will go for a release. So you need to have an answer when you will go for a release and all the things.
Okay, and one more question.
That question,
This course is
Mhm.
for freshers or for experienced people also?
No, they both will have. But I'm telling the interview question part. I'm highlighting who is the freshers. You can go for 3 to 4 years of experience. Not
Okay, and this is the only material you are gonna provide us, or is there
yes,
any hard copy also?
no. I will provide the complete material on as a PDF format. Complete
As a
notes.
PDF
Yes, PDF.
format. Okay.
Yes,
And will
yes.
you gonna explain these concepts in based on the is there suppose something like, for example, any application will you take the
Yes, we
based on
have a,
application?
yes. I can give you like the three applications. Like I told you, right? On the first day, I told you. I think we have three projects. Like generally, we have three projects. One is what insurance management system. Like how the project will be there. We will explain you that one. Okay, SRS like that. Insurance management system. How project will be there. And I will give you a live example. Live example means what you need to do each and everything. Like this is what project documentation, what is the project objective, and what are the SRS. SRS just now I told you, right? Once BRS is done, then we will convert it into SRS. What are the application like such capability, user friendly? We will explain each and everything in the project. Okay, that is what
Okay.
SRS, and the similarly FRS will be there. FRS document is very important too for us, because we don't know what need to enter in the username. So see here they will be provided like this. Like there is a all fields are mandatory. Mandatory means what? Fields
Compulsory.
are compulsory. Yes, the branch name will be there. Branch name is what? 4 to 15 alpha numerical value. This condition we need to check. Here you can use boundary value analysis. Minimum
Oh,
3 or yeah. So like this is very important. We will go with I told you, right? You can go for 5 years also, 6 years also, not a problem. But
okay.
you need to understand the concept. Concept is very important. Only by hearting, only going for a document, it won't help out you. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I will give you one more thing, like banking application, like what is the how the flow will be there, how flow charts will be there. So we will give you like entire the application, like how the banking application will be there. So this is the way how we need to understand. If they are giving the requirement documents and all the things, you need to go with these documents. Okay, but don't expert in the real time. I told you, right? The KT and all that they will give you, like KT means what? Knowledge transfer. What we can say that they will be provide a complete training for you. But I will tell you how you need to understand the flow of diagrams and all the things. See, all these on branch name, alphanumerical, start with alphabetic, minimum 6 characters, maximum 40 characters, mandatory and unique. You need to test all these areas while
Okay.
you're at branch name and all the thing. And some diagrammatical parts will be there. By seeing of the diagrammatic, how you need to understand. See, this is what diagrammatical way, how you need to understand the project. So you have lots of experience if you practice like a insurance management, banking application, and agile methodology. And I will cover Jira also. Jira is very important. You finding the bugs where you will post. That is what bug tracking tool, like Jira is what bug tracking tool. So you will learn all this area, right? So definitely you will get the things will smooth on.
On the Jira till will you gonna explain the based on the
Yes,
application?
yes, you need to post the bugs and all the things. Each and
Okay.
everything will give you completely with the two projects and one live application. That live application I cannot access in my system. I can share that details, that URL to you. you can access your in your system. I will explain 1 or 2 times, and the third time onwards you need to work on your end, and you need to find the bugs, and you need to report that issues.
Oh, okay. And one more thing, how do we know we need to do? We need to know that these are all the testings. We need to do it on the application. How do we know?
Like
So something like integration
real,
testing, or yeah, in real time.
yeah, in the real time. Don't worry that one. Once you know all these topics, right? Just just today you know what is black box testing. You know what is white box testing, no, right? So
Yeah.
once you get a job, suppose once you get a job, say nothing will be there. Process is very important. Process means when I need to pick the task, you can suppose one task is assigned on your name. So we will discuss each and everything, okay, when the things will come. Okay, but anyhow, I will tell you. Suppose generally one task 8080. Generally, this task is assigned to the developer as well as QA. So once the developer is tasked this task, so they mention like the status. We have a status will be there. The status will be changed. Like initial status is what to do means what developer is not started on this item. Okay, still the status is what to do only. Whenever the developer is change, the status is what in progress. Okay, in progress means what okay, developer is started this item. Once the developer is done his item, he changed as a done means what developer part is done, completed, this item is done. Then you need to suppose this task is assigned to on your name, you need to make a alert, you need to start working on this. Until unless developer is not completed, you need to have wait for that time.
Okay.
Understanding, right, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this one task is assigned to the developer as well as QA. You can we cannot start, developer is not completed, you cannot start, right? So you need to wait for until unless the developer is completed that item. Once the developer is done his part, okay, I'm done my item, then immediately this, suppose this task is assigned your name means you will get a mail automatically, you will get a mail in Outlook. Okay, this item is taken and so on, so on build. Okay, build, I will tell you what is the build. Yeah, in the
Okay.
build, version number is very important. O.O.O.O. So O.O.O.1. So you need to realize that oh, this is item is assigned on my name, and this is this the developer is done, and also is checking in which build, this build O.1. Next day what will happen, once you reach your office, right, you just open this build and you need to check this item is check-in or not, and you need to test your application. Suppose you also change the status. Initial stage is what to do. To do means what, you are not started. Once you started in progress, the team knows that you already started this item, and once you're done, you are not find any issue, it is working as expected. Now you change as a done means what, this item is completely done, then it is go for a release. This item will go for a release. Like that,
Oh,
we will discuss each and everything in the agile methodology, how the item will be there. You need to give the estimation, you need to provide the estimation, how many days you need to complete that task. You need to give some estimations. So we
okay.
will discuss each and everything, don't worry about that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Is it clear? Yeah, okay, thank you. Is there anything else discuss?
And how many days it will take to complete the
Like
entire
25 to 30 days, 25 max, 20,
max 20? Okay.
25 days.
Oh, okay. Daily
Okay.
1 hour, right?
One,
Is it?
yeah, daily 1 hour, daily one.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
See, the main topics is what, once we done with that one, models. Once the models and everything will done, then project we need to spend a lot of time. Once the
Okay.
project is done, we will go for a Jira. Once the Jira is done, we will complete entire the process.
Okay. First, you will explain the theory part, and then you will
Yes,
start the
yes,
project.
yes, yes, yes. I will start the project
Okay.
because you
Yeah.
need to know all the terminologies, what is SDLC and all the things. Then only we
Mm.
can understand.
So based on the PowerPoint slides only, you will explain the topics.
Yes, I will, in between, I will show the examples. What are the examples? Suppose if I'm taking examples on Amazon or anything, if I want to tell any live examples, means I will show you in different sites, and I will show that examples, how we will do
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
that. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. We'll see you on tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.